Well, what now? After hitting rock bottom in San Jose on Thursday, surely the orange and blue can't sink any further in Seattle. Right? Right? We're going to get you set for the Oilers and Kraken on the Oil Stream pregame show. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Oil Stream pregame show on Edmonton Sports Talk. Tom Gazzola with you. YouTube Trev manning the keyboards and buttons and doohickeys and whatnots back there on the control panel. His desk full of computers. He is good to go. That stash is greasy, my friend. It's coming in nice. Oh, boy. Matty Kassian will join us later on for Game Changers. As always, we highly encourage you to join the conversation. 780-218-9999. And if you're listening on the TuneIn app, we appreciate you. Thank you. As well as if you're listening on our audio stream live on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Of course, if you're watching us on the EST YouTube channel, thank you as well. We appreciate that. The visual medium has been a big boost and boon for us here at EST. You can get us at the Nasty Chat as well and talk amongst yourselves while we get set for the 2-9-1 Edmonton Oilers visiting the 5-6-3 Seattle Kraken. I will throw the question of the night out there to all of you. Please let me know your thoughts and let me share them with everyone. What kind of game or performance do you expect from the Oilers tonight? Is it already too little, too late? Let's bring in our good pal YouTube Trev here. You have positive vibes today, and I appreciate that. Trev, why is that? Positive vibes from you.
Yeah, I don't know. I honestly don't know. I just got a good feeling about today. Just something about it. I don't know if it was a dream I had or something. I'm very confident. I feel like they're ready. I don't know, for whatever reason. I think they're ready tonight. I don't know what that reason is, but I think they're going to be motivated. Something about it. I don't know. I got a good feeling. I'm calling it now. The player of the game will be an Oiler, and I think it's going to be McDavid. I think he's finally. I think he's going to come out strong right out of the gate. As soon as he gets one goal, I think he's going to get another. And yeah, that's just how I'm feeling. I get this feeling every now and then, and it's like a tingle, and it's never wrong. I'm not even joking. So I'm pretty confident that the Oilers are going to come out strong. They're going to get the dub tonight. And we're going to have an amazing post-game to talk about and a W, which is something we haven't been able to talk about a lot lately.
No,
Tommy.
Not since October 29th.
When was that again?
That was the Heritage Classic.
Yeah, that's right.
That was a while ago. It was 2 weeks ago. So the Oilers will try to get their third win of the season. YouTube Trev has his spidey sense tingling.
That's exactly what it is.
And maybe they win tonight. I don't know. I feel like I would appreciate that. It would be nice to not pop off on the team with a negative tirade for the first 6 minutes like I did the other night. I went with what I felt like was necessary in the moment. But we've moved on. I think everyone's taken a collective deep breath. And a win tonight would be a bit of a reprieve from all of the stress, tension, anger, and frustration that has been experienced in Oil Country over the course of the first month of the season. The Oilers played their first game of the season a month ago. Just 2 wins since in a dozen games. So, question of the night one more time. I'm going to get to some comments via the Nasty Chat. I've already seen people chiming in. Thank you for doing that. Question of the night is this: what kind of game or performance do you expect from the Oilers tonight? Is it already too little, too late? Oh, my goodness. Why do I even have to say it 13 games in? That's just a fact. Just a fact. Penner's Pancake says, Tingle Trev with the perfecto emoji. I like that. Nasty Chat. It's going good. This one from Quati. Larson adds one for good measure. Jason says, let's go. Ryan Corky says, Shore's got 2 points more than the rest of the Oilers' bottom 6, so probably not a stretch. That conversation goes further back. Oh, my goodness. You guys have been going for a little while. I appreciate that. Zedmo says, I feel like Elvis, and this is Heartbreak Hotel. David says, November hockey, baby. The anticipation is palpable. Brian says, hoping for nothing but positive emotions tonight. Jen, hello, Jen. Jen says, bringing the positivity today. Winning streak incoming. That would be lovely if you're a fan of the Oilers. And Nick says, win or lose, I anticipate a big change tomorrow. I know there's a lot of speculation. I personally would not be surprised if there'd be a big change tomorrow. I know that when things are this bad, generally there is change, but no change in terms of coaching staff tonight or management tonight. And I do know that Oilers brass have been talking about making moves roster-wise, throwing ideas around there, working on that, something constructive to see if they can shake up the roster. Do something, as people like to say when there are struggles. And I think, you know what, if we do see a coaching change, it's a shame. But I wouldn't be surprised either. But from everyone I've spoken with, they've been pretty mum about that topic thus far. So we'll see what plays out. Will Wayne change anything? I don't know. I don't think so. That's just my take. This one from Jason also says, first time in a while I bet against the Oilers tonight. And Davin says, it's not too late. That Oilers Plus Drop episode cheered me up. Good. Good that there's some content coming from the team, cheering people up about the team. That's what it's there for, as long as it helps. Davin says it's not too late. So, okay, we'll see if he is right. 780-218-9999. Nasty chat going strong. See if anybody's texted in. Yes, we've got some texts coming in. Donnie wants to know who's in net. Loves the EST group. Says we're awesome. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. I'll let you know who's in net right now as we get into starting lineups for the Edmonton Oilers and the Seattle Kraken. Here is how the Oilers skated yesterday. Today's practice was an optional. Lots of optionals at morning skate this year, even when they're scheduled originally as obligatory. They turn them into optionals. So this is how the Oilers skated yesterday in what Evander Kane called the best practice of the year for the Oilers. McDavid between McLeod and Hyman again. Draisaitl between Holloway and Fogle again. Nugent-Hopkins with Kane and Gagne again. Hamblin between Lavoie and Ryan again. On defense, no changes according to practice yesterday. Ekholm with Bouchard. Nurse with Ceci. Kulak with Desharnais. Of course, out for the Edmonton Oilers. Janmark day-to-day shoulder. Brown day-to-day lower body. Here is what we anticipate from the Seattle Kraken tonight. The mighty Kraken. Knocking off the defending Cup champs last year in the first round. Very impressive. The Kraken rolling out Matty Beniers between Jared McCann and Kyler Yamamoto. You're shaking your head, Trev.
I just have a weird feeling that Kyler Yamamoto is going to score tonight.
Yamamoto, 2 points.
Or Larson.
Or 2 goals, 2 assists this season. -5. 2 penalty minutes in 14 games. Top line duty tonight. We've seen this somewhere. That's the first line for the Kraken. Beniers between McCann and Yamamoto. Next line, Alex Wenberg between Jaden Schwartz, who leads the Kraken in scoring, and Ty Cartier. Yanni Gourde, the veteran, between Eli Tolvanen and Oliver Bjorkstrand. And then you've got up-and-comer Shane Wright between the aforementioned Devon Shore. You're giggling over there. And Shane Winterton, who, by all accounts, according to Dave Hackstall, head coach of the Seattle Kraken, those guys had a rock-solid performance the other night in the Kraken's win over the Avalanche. 4-3. I believe that was on Thursday. On defense for the Kraken, Vince Dunn with Adam Larson. Jamie Alexiak with William Borgen. Brian Dumoulin with Justin Schultz. Out for the Kraken. Jordan Eberle, day-to-day leg laceration. Suffered that in practice. Pretty scary, but they said he's going to be sore, but he's going to be okay. And we'll see how long it takes Eberle to get back in action. Brandon Tanev has been on the IR for a little while. Upper body issue for Tanev. Burakovsky, IR, upper body. And then you had Pierre-Edouard Bellemare, the veteran, who was skating with the extras today. So it doesn't look like the veteran Pierre-Edouard Bellemare, the Frenchman, will be playing tonight for Seattle. You started laughing when I mentioned Devon Shore. Go on.
The same thing. I feel like the Oilers are always haunted by ex-Oilers. It always seems to be the case. And
It happens.
Yeah, it does happen. It does happen. I seen maybe it was a week ago, 2 weeks ago, actually. Devon Shore, he scored a beautiful breakaway goal. He went nice little 5 holes. So yeah, he was a real good teammate to all the guys. He was one of the glue guys, if you will.
He was.
So yeah, real good guy. It'll be nice to see them. I'm sure they're going to be having lots of laughs in the warm-ups.
Yeah. Oddly enough, of all the names of former Oilers from last season who people would like to see still on the roster, Devon Shore's name has not popped up. I've seen lots of Costin, lots of Barry, lots of Bukestad, some Yamamoto, even Puljujärvi. But no one has said Devon Shore. And if you're going, well, Devon Shore, not that great. Glue guy. Through 8 games, a goal and an assist. -1. 4 points. Or 4 penalty minutes. Looking at the Oilers' bottom 6, I mean, I'm not going to throw Hamblin and Lavoie. They just got here in the depths of a crappy situation. Matthias Janmark, donuts across the board, -2 through 7 games, 4 penalty minutes. Derek Ryan, 1 assist, -2 through 12 games. Again, Jay Woodcroft has not been playing the fourth line a ton all season long. Connor Brown, donuts with a -5 in 9 games played. Injured now. Dylan Holloway, donuts, -4, 12 games played, 2 penalty minutes. And Ryan McLeod, 1 assist, -4, 2 penalty minutes in 12 games played. Sam Gagner, not really a fourth liner in his time as an Oiler, third time around. 2 goals, 1 assist, 3 points, 4 games played, +2. No penalty minutes. And Gagner still the only Edmonton Oiler who isn't a minus. And I'm not counting James Hamblin, who's even through 2 games where he's barely played. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. Everybody on the roster, save for James Hamblin, who just got here and is even, is a minus, except for Sam Gagner, who's +2.
It's just so bad looking at this, Tommy. That does not look good. Last year was definitely, I think it was their goal differential near the end of the year. It was like quite substantial. But even then, like Leon Draisaitl struggled throughout his whole career to be a plus-minus, like in the plus for his career. McDavid struggled. He popped off with almost 160 points last year, and he was just over. So it's not good. It's not good. This is something that's always continued to be a problem for them, and it's continuing again this year.
Oh, it's an issue. It is an issue. If you're wondering which player is the worst plus-minus wise for the Edmonton Oilers, that would be Warren Bartholomew Fogle. I say Bartholomew in jest. He is -7 through 12 games, does have 6 points, however. And then if you want to feel better about things, maybe, I don't know how much this will help, but Matty Beniers, last year's Calder Trophy winner, -13 through 14 games with a goal and 6 assists over on the Kraken side of things. 780-218-9999. If you want to text us, nasty chat, it's going. Question of the night, throw it out there one more time. What kind of game or performance are you expecting from the Oilers tonight? Is it already too little, too late? We're talking about Game 13 here. Starting goalies for tonight. This is who we are anticipating in goal for both clubs. 25-year-old Stuart Skinner, 1-5-1, 387 goals against average, 854 save percentage in 8 games this season. Skinner versus the Kraken, lifetime 3-2 record, 372 GAA, 884 save percentage in 3 appearances, or 5 games against Seattle in his career. As for the Kraken, Philip Grubauer gets the nod. The 31-year-old is 3-5-1 on the season, 3.01 GAA, 900 save percentage in 8 games this season. Grubauer versus Edmonton, 3-2-0 record, 437 GAA, 826 save percentage in 6 games against the Oilers. I'm going to verify Skinner's record against Edmonton because I know I was jumping around when I was doing my pregame prep, and I went from one goalie to the other. Yes, indeed, Skinner, a 3-2 record versus Seattle, 372 GAA 884 save percentage. So your anticipated starting netminders for tonight, Stuart Skinner and Philip Grubauer. That one is for Donnie M, who is texting in. PJ, who's texting in about the Golden Bears, UBC Thunderbirds game. Crazy loss for the U of A Golden Bears. Last-second touchdown sinks them. I was watching that game on TELUS TV, Canada West. Our good friend Doug McLean on the broadcast today. That's a heartbreaker. That is a heartbreaker for the U of A Golden Bears. A fumble in a last-minute drive in the UBC half. Couple big plays for UBC. They get an offensive pass interference penalty in the end zone. Brings the ball back. I think it was, 10 or 15 yards. They still get the TD on the last play. And then they kick the point after. And they send the Golden Bears home. Disappointment, shock, frustration, all that stuff. U of A Golden Bears football, you did a great job this year, though. Win or lose. Next year, remember that moment. Chris Morris, C-Murder, as Dave Jameson called him. They'll be back next year. Only 4 graduating players on that U of A Golden Bears roster. This text says, Tom, Edmonton Sports Talk can be found on Sonos Radio if you have a Sonos smart speaker. I did not know that. That's great news. All right. We're expanding our platforms where we're going to be available to you. That's important. So we put it out there. You ingest it, take it in how you want. That's how we do it now in this day and age. This one says, TG, have you been to the new rink in Seattle? Everybody says it's amazing compared to what? Donnie, I have not been to the new rink in Seattle. Our guest tonight, Everett Fitzhugh, play-by-play voice on the radio side of the Seattle Kraken, he can give us a great comparison. I'm sure he's going to wax poetic about how phenomenal Climate Pledge Arena is. It looks amazing. They have 2 jumbotrons. They call them the Twins. And they have one end at the top is all glass. It's very, very neat. Very, very neat. And by all accounts, from everything I've heard, Climate Pledge Arena is amazing. So we'll get it. I'll ask Everett to describe Climate Pledge Arena, Donnie. The 2 arenas I have not been to are Climate Pledge and UBS Arena, where the Islanders now play. I did go to Brooklyn at Barclays Center, and I did go to Nassau Coliseum to cover games. Detroit, Little Caesars Arena is amazing. I would say Detroit, probably number 1 in terms of amenities, creature features, all that stuff. Great press box. It has a catwalk, which is amazing. And then Rogers Place is definitely right up there. But the difference between Little Caesars and Rogers Place, they stayed on budget at Rogers Place. Where at Little Caesars, they went like $250 million over budget. And you can tell. It's in the details. The flooring, terrazzo, sparkle flooring. There's a Corvette hanging on the side of the wall. It's a pretty beautiful arena. Seriously. But by all accounts, Climate Pledge is right up there. So I will ask Donnie for you how Everett compares Climate Pledge Arena. Don't be surprised if his business daddy, which is the Seattle Kraken, who employs him, if he says it's amazing and the best rink in the league. 780-218-9999. This one says, hey, Tom, don't you think it makes more sense to have Lavoie up in the top 6 for a true look? The guy's sniper, and neither of Holloway or McLeod have shown they're capable of the top 6 after multiple tries. Now, let's give this kid an actual shot for some success. Let's put the young finisher with the best passers. It just might work. That's from Seaside Slug. Seaside Slug, I don't disagree with that. I do not disagree with that. McLeod can't get going. Holloway's having a tough go. Woodcroft switches things up so quickly. One thing I will say is he generally doesn't trust the younger guys, the newer, fresher guys, all that much until things are going well, like if a game's in hand or anything like that. But I think, like Seaside Slug pointed out, we're at the point now where you're trying everything and anything. And if you have the skill set and size and ability of a Raphael Lavoie, why not? How much worse can it get? What could go wrong at this point? It's already gone sideways and then some. I'm with you. I'd put him up there. I wouldn't even be surprised if, like, 5 minutes into the game, he gets a shift or two with Draisaitl or McDavid. It's just how Jay Woodcroft rolls things out. So take the lines from practice with a grain of salt, even from warm-up with a grain of salt, because as we know, the blender is mixing things up in a hurry when it comes to Jay Woodcroft, Glenn Gulletson, and how they run that bench. 780-218-9999, question of the night one more time before we get into some pregame audio and video is this. What kind of game or performance do you expect from the Oilers tonight? Is it already too little? Too late. Let's see what's going on with the nasty chat. This one says, do you think Kulak/Ceci should be moved out and have Broberg just slot in for him, especially if the woes continue? That's from Testy Time. Unfortunately, and this is telling of the season it has been, Kulak and Ceci have been the most consistent blue liners for this team. Kulak had a bad 4 or 5 games out of the gate, but I think he's settled in. Broberg, like many this year, nothing doing there. So, Testy Time, I would probably say no to that for now. That's my take on it. Zedmo says Kraken win. I'm anticipating, and also says it's margarita night. Must have been the blender comment, Zedmo. Thank you for the text via the nasty chat. Mikey J says, why do I feel it's going to be a 4-2 Kraken win? Bad vibes. Oh, VR Montenegro asks if I've been to Mullet Arena. No. Good point. So make it 3. That's not even an NHL arena. Have not been there. It would be neat to see. Sounds like it's a great atmosphere, but every player that I've come across or talked to and asked about it is just like, they don't even want to talk about it. They're like, oh my God. And that's how irrelevant the Coyotes have been of late. Haven't been there. VR Montenegro, thank you for the reminder. And from what I've heard, it's a lovely college arena. An NHL arena, not so much. All right, let's get into our first bit of audio and video for tonight as we get you set for the Oilers and the Kraken. We do have Everett Fitzhugh, play-by-play voice of the Kraken, joining us in about 15 minutes' time. We're going to go into the coach's room. Let's hear from Jay Woodcroft, who spoke following the team's optional morning skate today.
Yesterday was a good practice, and I know today's kind of a,
Cheer up, Gene.
Yeah. I just been asking you the same stuff.
On the table.
Yeah.
Excited about our opportunity to get them.
Yeah, and how cheery are you then?
I'm excited about our opportunity today. I think we had a good practice yesterday and have a opportunity to play a divisional opponent. As we talked about yesterday, we're 7 points out of a playoff position. It's weird to talk about that in November. But it's not a position that we haven't been in before. Obviously, when Dave and I first came up, 7 points out, and we have experience of clawing our way back, but it starts with one game, and that's tonight.
You said it's weird to talk about that in November, so how much do you actually talk about it?
Well, I think, and I mentioned this yesterday, I think you want to highlight that because as much as doom and gloom comes from outside sources, you have to have a big picture perspective. And as I said, I've said this before, 5 playoff rounds, over 100 wins in the last 2 years, been in this position before. And, it's important to keep that in perspective, but you want to see some results too. It's no fun not getting a result. We've done some good things, but it's a results business, and that's what we're looking for. And we're not just hanging our hat on the fact that we've done it before. We got to go out and make it happen.
Actually, I'm gloom. He's doom.
Are you? Yeah. I don't know. I don't read your stuff, Spec.
Yesterday, Connor said that as captain, he kind of takes a temperature of the room just to see how guys are doing. Are you able to kind of do that, or how does a coach sort of do the temperature of the room just to see how guys are doing and how they're feeling going through this?
Yeah, I think that's important. But as I've said this about how your recipe really doesn't change in terms of communication with your players. Win or lose, you're still talking to your players all the time. I like where you're coming from with that question, though, because you're talking about being empathetic to human beings going through something, and certainly that's an important quality to have as a coach. We understand that, but we're working towards making sure people are in the right frame of mind, making sure that we're giving our players something that can draw their attention to ways that they can find that result. As I said, there's been some positives. We're trying to pound on positives while at the same time taking care of some of the things that are shooting us in the foot.
What do you want to see from your team the first 10 minutes tonight?
Well, I think we've started a lot of games actually really well. I would like us to make sure that we're turned on immediately, that we're not having to let anyone else or any event turn us on. We want to make sure that we're prepared to dictate the game, and that's no different than any game. We talk a lot about our starts, and as I said, we've had some good ones, but we don't want just that to be a 10-minute plan. It's about a 60-minute plan tonight.
Jay, apologies for the long-winded question here, but you and your players have talked about shortening and making the picture a lot smaller, focusing on the next shift, the next period, the next game.
Yep.
How much would a win to close out this road trip help you guys in the process of parking what's transpired this season?
Well, I think it's important because when you're talking about doing some good things and you want to reaffirm good things in your game, it's important that you get a result. And when you do, what happens is it becomes a loop, a virtuous loop, where you're working on things, you make sure you go out and execute those things, and then you're rewarded for those things. For various reasons, we haven't been rewarded yet this year. Nobody has lost their spirit about it. We're continuing to maintain a positive outlook, but as I said, it's important to get the result because that's what reaffirms that belief system.
How different is it going to be seeing Kyler Yamamoto on the opposite bench?
You know what? We saw him in the preseason, so it won't be as different as it was that time. So we had some experience with that. But, obviously Yamo was a real good hockey player for our organization here for the last, I think 6 or 7 years or so since he was drafted. And, I coached him all the way from Bakersfield and had some experience coaching him here in the NHL. And obviously, he's back in his home state and he's playing on their first line tonight. And, so things are going well for him, but wish him well, just not tonight.
In your time coaching him, what do you think was an underrated aspect of his game?
Yeah, he's a relentless player. You don't play in the NHL at his size and his weight without having a level of relentlessness to him. But I think the underrated thing about him, in what I noticed in my years coaching him, was his hockey intelligence. He had the ability to play with top players, and when he was at his best, he was working at a high rate. And as I said, he was a good player for our organization. Wish him well, just not tonight.
Fair enough. There's Oilers head coach Jay Woodcroft as his team gets set for a date with the Seattle Kraken at Climate Pledge Arena. Puck drop just after 8 p.m. The Oilers taking on a 5-6-3 Kraken squad coming off a win over Colorado the other night. Edmonton, of course, a loss in San Jose. We went over that one ad nauseum the last couple of days, especially on the post-game show, and then certainly yesterday. Edmonton 1-5 on the road this season. Meanwhile, the Kraken at home 2-3. That win that the Kraken did get against Colorado on Thursday was in Denver. So we'll see if the Oilers can get things going against the Seattle Kraken. They've had success against Seattle so far in the Kraken's existence. Edmonton is 3-1 all-time at Seattle. The Oilers are 5-2 all-time against the Kraken, and they've won 4 of the last 5 meetings. In the brief history of the Seattle Kraken, which begins a brief 2-game homestand, they'll face Colorado, in a couple of days, and the Oilers wrap up this 3-game Pacific Division road trip 0-2 thus far. Let's go into the inbox, 780-218-9999. This text says, I think I have a good feeling about this game, too, just like YouTube Trev was saying. Seattle coming off a win against Colorado, where they scored within the last couple of minutes of the game. No Eberle, former Oiler tonight. It was 3-3 until Seattle scored right near the end to make it 4-3. Yes, thank you for that text. I will remind everyone that there is a smattering of former Oilers still on this Kraken roster. We're going to see Yamamoto, like we heard Jay Woodcroft talking about, on the top line tonight. You've also got Devin Shore playing. You've got Adam Larson. You've got Justin Schultz. And obviously no Jordan Eberle for the Seattle Kraken. This text says, thanks, TG. CFL game is amazing. Dusty is awesome tonight. Great viewing experience. No wonder CFL viewership is high this year. That's from Donnie Brook. Yes, our boy Dusty calling a great game right now on TSN. The game in Winnipeg going on. It is the West Final. Let's give you an update on the score. And right now, it is 40. What? Where am I here? 21-13. Winnipeg leads the BC Lions in the fourth quarter. 6 minutes left to play. And earlier in the day, it was the Montreal Alouettes, led by Danny Machocha and Jason Moss, defeating the 16-2 Toronto Argonauts 38-17. The Als off to the Grey Cup for the first time in 13 years. Looks like they will likely face Winnipeg unless BC can get something going here late in the game. Down 8. 21-13 is the score in the West Final down at IG Field in Winnipeg. It can happen. It can happen. It's the CFL. Anything can happen in the Canadian Football League, but that should be a phenomenal Grey Cup game. Alouettes and either the Lions and the Bombers, and Hamilton will be rocking. Green Day playing halftime, which should be fantastic. Congratulations to Jason Moss. I get to work with him on a lovely little program called Bozone Live on Wild TV, which gets going November 16th, Season 4. If you're into white-tailed deer hunting. If you're asking, how the hell did you end up being a host of a deer hunting show? I don't know. But I did 4 years ago, and here I am going into Season 4. I do know, actually. Former producer, director of Oil Change, videographer for Oil Change, Mike Bealey is the director-producer of Bozone Live, and he asked me to be a part of it, which is a lot of fun. I've learned a ton about it, and it's incredible to get to know these hunters, how they treat wildlife, and how they harvest every part of the animal and appreciate what nature provides. So Bozone Live, Jason Moss, one of our hunters, he and the Alouettes are off to the Grey Cup next week in Hamilton. Now, it's a busy night in the National Hockey League, as a Saturday tends to be. 12 games on the sched. Let's get you up to speed on what's going on and what has already transpired in the NHL. Everett Fitzhugh, by the way, play-by-play voice of the Seattle Kraken, joining us in about 5 to 6 minutes or so. So earlier in the day, the Red Wings knock off the Blue Jackets in early action 5-4. We also saw the Stars beat the Winnipeg Jets 3-2. Boston and Montreal in the third period, even up at 1. Then you've got the Flames visiting the Sens, 2-1 Ottawa in the second intermission. You also have Carolina's up 2-0 on Tampa in Tampa. 16 minutes left to play in the third period there. Through 2. Toronto Maple Leafs leading the Vancouver Canucks 3-2 at one point. The shots were like 16-4 in favor of the Canucks. No longer the case, 23-17 in favor of the Canucks, who trail 3-2 as the Leafs are looking to beat the red-hot Vancouver Canucks. On Long Island, the Islanders trail the Capitals 2-1 late in the second period. In Pittsburgh at PPG Paints Arena, it's 2-0 Pens over the Sabres. Pens on a power play late in the second period. And then in the first intermission in Nashville, good old Music City, 3-2 the Preds lead the Arizona Coyotes. Coming up later tonight, we're going to see the Avalanche host the Blues at Ball Arena. I was about to say Pepsi Center, but that's no longer the name of that lovely facility. And then you've got the Kraken hosting the Oil as we get you set for that one. And then the late game tonight, we'll see the LA Kings welcome the Philadelphia Flyers to town. The Kings off to an 8-2-3 start. Todd McClellan has that team humming with Cam Talbot in goal, along with Phoenix Copley. Pierre-Luc Dubois providing some offensive punch for the Kings as well this season after that big trade with the Winnipeg Jets. 780-218-9999 if you want to get in on the conversation. VA says, cheer up, Tom. I'm in a good mood. I'd say I'm in a good mood. Where's my mood at today, Trev? How would you gauge it?
Yeah, I think you're having a great day from early on Hello Hockey. You were just buzzing, and I think
that was a good show.
Yeah, it was a great show. We had a lot of fun there, and I think it's continued. So I don't know what VA's thinking.
I don't know. VA, it's all good.
It's okay.
It's all good. Mikey J asking, what's the blood pressure of the team collectively? Probably pretty high. Spiking. YouTube Trev is doing the spike motion. Evil Twin said, didn't the Oilers play better when Tommy had the perm? Yep. But we'll leave it there.
If that's what it takes.
Never again.
I don't know, Tommy.
Never again.
I'm sure me and Dusty and Maddie and Eric can hold you down. We'll get someone in here.
Not. I got a chuckle, and my good friend Jason Greger, if he is doing the Skullet or the Leahy or whatever, good on him. He's a good buddy of mine. And if you're doing it, good on you, man. Good on you. I tried to propose when we were at 1260 that if I had to do the perm, Greger would have to do the Skullet a la Hulk Hogan. And there's always a charity component to this, and Greg's is so good with charity, so I hope that's part of it. I'm sure it will be. And Greg's, if you do it, good on you, man. And I, for one, will not be laughing. I will enjoy it and appreciate it. But because of what I went through, I do not laugh at that.
How long did you have the perm for?
Like 2 months.
Oh, okay. So that's pretty solid then. I was like, I had no idea. Okay, good for you then.
Yeah,
okay, never mind then.
They still lost in the playoffs, and the perm was kind of still there. I got rid of it, I think, or I cut it right before the postseason. So they got through a round with the perm being gone. But thank you for bringing up the perm, Evil Twin. I appreciate that. And then MB says, Bozo Live? Bozone Live, MB. Bozone Live. The Edmonton Bozone is prominent and fruitful when it comes to providing absolute gigantic whitetail bucks. Check it out. Preview show goes on the 16th. First live episode on the 19th of November. Looking forward to getting that going. And Jason Moss, coach of the Alouettes, will be on the show. Louis DeBrusque also makes an appearance this season, as he tends to do. 780-218-9999 if you want to text us via the inbox, or if you're watching on the EST YouTube channel, you can get in on the Nasty Chat. Drop a line there if you have any questions, concerns, comments. You want to ask Matty Kassian or Everett Fitzhugh something, who will be joining us right away here. Everett Fitzhugh, the play-by-play voice of the Seattle Kraken on the radio side, will be along with us shortly here. Drop us a line, 780-218-9999, right here on the Oil Stream pregame show. YouTube Trev, is that thumbs up saying Everett's good to go? Yes, indeed.
Yeah, he was just he was in a pretty loud area, so he's like, I'll be right back. So give him like 30 seconds.
I can give him 30 seconds,
right
no
on.
problem.
Yeah.
He's a busy man.
Yeah, he is a busy man.
It's all good.
He's crushing it, just like we are.
He's always crushing it, doing good stuff. All right, 780-218-9999. Question of the night. I'll throw it out there one more time before we get to Everett. What kind of game or performance do you expect from the Oilers tonight? Is it already too little, too late? I'm curious to know what our game analyst Matt Kassian will say when he joins us in about 25 minutes or so. Everett, we're going to assume he's good to go. He walks at a...
Oh, yeah, we're going to go.
Pace. There he is. Oh, he's there. There he is. Everett Fitzhugh. Kraken Radio play-by-play voice. You can catch him on Kraken TV if you go to their website. A man of the people. What's going on in Seattle, Everett? This team's doing all right, but I'm sure probably wants better results after what was a stellar season last year.
Yeah, I think this team is starting to turn that proverbial corner. You know, you're 3-1-1 in your last 5 games. You're finally being rewarded for the effort that's been there, and I think that was the most frustrating part about the beginning of the season. Even though this team was playing the way that made them successful last year, they were generating shots, they were playing well in the neutral zone. When this team is good, they're checking well, they're setting the pace with their speed, but the chances weren't going. They weren't being rewarded for that effort. And, we were talking amongst ourselves a number of times, and we would say, listen, it'd be a lot easier if this team was getting beat 6-0 every night because you know what the problem is. But when you're finding ways to generate offense, but you're not scoring and you're not capitalizing on those chances, then you're scratching your head trying to figure out, well, what in the world's going on here? So I think we're starting to turn that corner, and we're getting back to that consistent style of play that made Seattle so successful last year.
Scratching our collective heads going, what the heck is going on here? Sounds like the Edmonton tale right now, Everett, to be honest with you. As you know, understanding this market and what it is and how much it loves this team dearly, but that's beside the point. We're talking about the Kraken here. Listen, Jaden Schwartz leading the team in scoring with Oliver Bjorkstrand and Vince Dunn point behind Schwartz each. Looking at point totals in general, is it fair that this Kraken team goes at opposition teams with a balanced attack? Is that a fair comment?
I think that's very fair, and that was really the case last season when the Kraken last year got a 101 points from their fourth line. Daniel Sprong, Morgan Geekie, Ryan Donato combined for 101 points. Daniel Sprong was averaging about 11 and a half minutes of ice time per night, and he scored 46 points last season. Wow. So it was a balanced attack. You could shut down your top line. That's fine. You've got 3 other lines to pick up the slack. And I think we're seeing that again this year. Where I think it gets a bit tricky is a lot of people will say that the Kraken don't have that superstar. They don't have that game breaker. There's no McDavid. There's no McKinnon on this roster that can seemingly take over a game and score that big goal when you need to. Now, I don't think that this team has necessarily needed that person, but as the league has started to get film on players like Matty Beniers and finding ways to shut those guys down, you're starting to see a little bit of a switch in the mentality and the mindset. We need to get back, and we being the collective thought inside the dressing room, we need to get back to that collective play. We need to get to that 4-line team. That's why you have a guy in Oliver Bjorkstrand who is primarily a 3rd-line player, but he's finding his way on the score sheet every single night. Jaden Schwartz, he is another player that quietly in a 2nd-line role is on an 8-game heater. So you're starting to see that offense pick up, not having to rely on those number 1, number 2 top guys, because simply put, you just don't have that one person that can take over a game at will, again, like a McDavid, like a McKinnon, players like that.
Mm-hmm. Oliver Bjorkstrand, I remember watching him with the Portland Winterhawks during their series with the Edmonton Oil Kings, and I was like, damn, that's a good player. And I'm not surprised to see him having success and to have been so consistent, slowly building up to being appreciated for what he does provide on the ice. But speaking of Matty Beniers, Everett, like, this is the Calder winner from a year ago. He just scored his first goal of the season the other night. Is it legit? I feel like this guy, if there is one guy on this roster that's going to have superstar potential and be a game breaker for this Kraken franchise, is it fair to put that on him and say he could be that guy?
I absolutely think that's fair. I think he will be that guy. I think he needs to be that guy. And, as far as his early season slump goes, listen, as has been the case with a number of hot, promising rookies throughout the course of the history of this league, the league will adjust to you. They game plan for you, and you need to learn how to game plan for that game plan, so to speak. Right. So Matty Beniers, a little bit of a slow start for him, but he's now going through the league for a 3rd time. He's seeing these teams for a 3rd, 4th, and 5th time. They now plan for him. They now know what to expect from a guy like Matty Beniers. So this is a situation where, frankly put, he's just going to have to work through it and fight through it. You've got guys like Jordan Eberle, Jaden Schwartz, Jared McCann, players who've been around for a long time that he can lean on for advice. And, he's always been the proverbial first on, last off guy in practice. I can't tell you how many times I've watched the Zamboni have to chase him off the ice after practice because we have a public skate coming on in about 10 minutes. So he's putting the work in. He's doing all the little things, but he just needs to get through this and realize the fact that, hey, you're now a marked man in the NHL because of your talent, because of your skill. So like I said before, he now has to game plan for that game plan that's coming for him.
Everett Fitzhugh joining us now, Seattle Kraken play-by-play voice. You mentioned Jordan Eberle there, and I know injuries bite every team, and they've bitten the Kraken.
Yeah.
The Eberle injury, if you can describe it to people, because it sounds scary, but it kind of at the time seemed innocuous until we heard more reports about it. The laceration on the leg, Everett, what do we know? How's he going to be? How bad could it have been?
Yeah, I mean, I think from everything that we have been told, it could have been a whole lot worse. But it was practice in Colorado, a routine drill. Jaden Schwartz stepped on a puck, went flying. His leg went flying, caught Eberle right on the leg under the pant. But it missed. It wasn't deep enough. It wasn't near any vital arteries. I saw him on the team plane after the game against Colorado, and he had a simple Band-Aid on his leg. So that was good. And then this morning, he came out before everyone at morning skate. He came up about a half an hour and was being put through a back skate. Didn't look like he was favoring anything. Didn't look like he was in any kind of pain. So not going to play tonight. I would suspect maybe you keep him out Monday against Colorado, but it wouldn't surprise me to see him at least maybe make the trip to Edmonton for Wednesday. Then you've got a back-to-back with the Islanders on Thursday. Then you're in Vancouver next Saturday. So I would not be surprised to see him play one of those three games, Edmonton, New York Islanders, or Vancouver next week. But again, only time will tell. But yeah, it was a lot better than what it looked like, and it could have been a whole lot worse.
Yikes. Well, I hope he's going to be all right. Tough kid over there, Jordan Eberle, and good man for sure. So how are Brandon Tanev and Burakovsky progressing at this point?
Brandon Tanev has shed the non-contact jersey. He's been skating with the team in some capacity for about 10 days. He took full morning skate today, took line rushes today, took PK as well. Will not play tonight, but again, like Eberle, I think he either gets in Monday or he makes the trip to Edmonton and maybe returns there on Wednesday. So Tanev, I think, is close. Andre Burakovsky just saw the birth of his first child, so he actually has not been around the arena the last couple days or last couple weeks. So I haven't seen him, but again, I think he's progressing okay. That upper body injury, we still don't know officially what it was, but the way he was holding himself, it looked like maybe an upper shoulder, collarbone area, something like that. Again, we don't know for sure, but we haven't heard any upgrade or any update on him, I should say.
All right, there's this roster from Seattle's dotted with a bunch of former Oilers and good guys to be sure. Yamamoto on the top line, it looks like tonight. Couple of points this year, or 4 points, I should say. A couple goals, couple assists through 14 games thus far. And then glue guy, Devin Shore, also joining the Kraken this season. How are those guys fitting in, and what are we seeing from Yamamoto that has Dave Haxtell putting him up on a top line?
I think you're seeing the skill potential with Yamamoto is the reason why he's been rewarded. I mean, he plays so hard, primarily, I should say exclusively, in a bottom six role for the Kraken so far this year. But he hunts for pucks. He's generating chances on that fourth line. He's bringing the energy on that fourth line. Like I said, the team has to replace 101 points from last year's fourth line.
Right.
And also, I think, listen, anytime you can say that, hey, I've played with McDavid and Draisaitl on a regular basis over the past how many years? 4 or 5 years? And, these are two generational talents. I think it allows for a little bit of that understanding of, okay, he can handle 20 minutes tonight. He can handle skating with the likes of a Matty Beniers, a Jared McCann, who skate very, very well, who can move the puck very, very well. So Yamamoto, I think, has been playing a perfect game and a perfect role for Seattle, and maybe even some of the pressure is off him a little bit for not having to play with those top guys on a nightly basis. He can settle into that middle bottom six role for Seattle and have success. And as far as Devin Shore goes, I think glue guy is number one. That is a perfect term for him, as he has been able to generate offense when given the opportunity. He's had 3 blue line and in breakaways so far this year on the fourth line. He's scored on one. He's done a really good job for Seattle on the PK. He's gotten some PK time this year as well. So Devin Shore, once again, with the opportunity and a bottom six role that he's been given, he's making the most out of it.
All right, Everett Fitzhugh, what kind of game are you expecting between the Kraken and Oilers tonight?
Well, I think for Seattle, you're coming off of a statement win this season. Your biggest win, I would say, to date of this season in Colorado, a team that you beat for your first ever playoff series victory. So you're riding high. You played in a style of play that you know gives you success. So I think if you're Seattle, you have to go back to that playbook. The physicality was there. The Kraken out-hitting Colorado, I think by a 2-1, something like that, 2-1 margin. So you need to put bodies on McDavid, on Draisaitl, on Thurston, Nugent-Hopkins, take them out of the game as much as possible to have success. And then for Edmonton, look, I don't need to tell you guys, this is a hungry, desperate hockey team that, you listen to the noise and you listen to all the media folks. The change may potentially be coming. And if you're the Oilers, I mean, you want to go back home on a high note. The start of this hockey game is going to be big, I think. I feel like whoever wins the first 10 minutes of this game, if Seattle can get a couple of goals here early and not give up the lead like we've seen, the Kraken have had issues holding leads, especially 2-goal leads so far this season. So I think it's going to take a big start for Seattle, and I think for Edmonton, it goes without saying, but their best players need to be their best players, and I'm talking about 97 and 29.
Yeah, absolutely. I promised I would ask this. This is for Donnie, one of our listeners. Wants to know how nice Climate Pledge Arena is. I know that that's the rink that you work out of day in, day out for the most part, outside of the practice facility that the Kraken have, but how would you compare it to the rest of the league, Everett?
I mean, this is the diamond, the gem of the NHL. I think it's interesting because you've got 2 scoreboards. You don't have the center hung scoreboard. You've got 2 scoreboards in either zone, so it opens up. There's a massive glass window in one of the ends that lets in a bunch of lights, and you can actually see fans watching on the concourse. I mean, this is they thought of everything. And I remember talking to our owners early on in this process. They actually went to the new building in Detroit. They went to MSG. They went to Montreal. They went to the new building in Edmonton, and they said, we want this, but we want you to make it better. We want an upgrade on what is already some gem buildings in the NHL. So I would say if you're planning a road trip, obviously original 6 cities, you want to go to the Garden, you want to go to United Center in Chicago and listen to the anthem. But when it comes to just pure beauty and enjoyment of the game and for the enjoyment of the facility, you got to come to Seattle.
Pure poetry, my friend. Thank you for hopping on such short notice today. Have a great broadcast, and I look forward to seeing you on Wednesday.
Sounds good, brother. Always a pleasure, man. Take care.
There is Everett Fitzhugh, play-by-play voice of the Seattle Kraken. Donnie, I told you he'd put it in a nice little package with a bow on top, the way he would describe Climate Pledge Arena. And when you do take the best of the best around the league and you build on it and try to make it better, you get something beautiful. And Detroit, like I said, phenomenal. Obviously, here in Edmonton, we're lucky to have the facility that we do. And then I'm glad that Everett described MSG and mentioned it, because MSG went through a $1.2 billion renovation about 7 or 8 years ago, maybe longer now, but it's amazing. And they put in like a catwalk after the fact, and it is so cool there. And even though that building it technically is the oldest in the National Hockey League, it was built in the late 60s, I believe, but it has been renovated a couple of times, and this last one that they did, is beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So good stuff there from Everett Fitzhugh, giving us the scoop on the Seattle Kraken. Jordan Eberle, good to hear that laceration on his leg isn't that bad, because we all know with everything that's gone on with cuts by skates, certainly the Adam Johnson story, absolutely awful. So good to hear that Jordan Eberle looks like he should be okay, and the fact that he skated today, won't play, but did skate, is a good sign. Maybe by Wednesday, like Everett had mentioned. All right, a couple texts to get to. We will run some more clips from the Oilers heading into action tonight, and then at about 7:40, Matty Kassian will be around for Game Changers. And this text coming in, it's a long one. I'll read it. We've got time. This one says, I'm going to say something that might sound a little crazy to you, Tom, but I think Bouchard to the wing could improve the Oilers as a whole. Yes, of course, I know we'd have to fill a hole on defense, but even if we can plug his hole with a low-scoring but stable defender, it has upside. For one, it takes media pressure off of Bouchard, but mainly we would diminish his highlight reel mistakes, and we'd have a creative, offensive-thinking player that plays with McDavid or Draisaitl. A 50 to 60-point forward. He could play D when on the power play and when another D-man gets hurt. Adds versatility and tools in the coach's toolbox. There's upside in at least trying this. I don't think that's a crazy notion. That's from Seaside Slug, by the way. Bouchard, I remember we were talking, I think a few post games ago. He played forward in London for a bit in his junior years, and then went back to the blue line. Also, we've seen Brent Burns do this. It's a rarity. It has happened. Just not often.
Dustin Byfuglien, I'm pretty sure.
Dustin Byfuglien did the same.
Got bumped up, played a few.
Yeah.
So it has happened.
I don't think it's crazy, Seaside Slug. Unlikely, yes. Could we see it? Perhaps. I doubt it. Some have said Darnell Nurse should do the same. We haven't seen that before. I don't know. Like, how rigid do coaches get and players get into a certain mindset once they get to the National Hockey League, you know? That's why I think it's a bit of a rarity. So I don't think it's crazy, Seaside Slug. I just think it's unlikely. Maybe it happens. Who knows? Bill Guerin once played defense for the Oilers when they were down a bunch of players, I believe in Colorado one night. It was just for a game. And I think they put him back there because he would every now and then get pushed back to defense in New Jersey, I believe, was the story. This is years ago. Years and years ago. If I'm wrong and you remember that story, let me know. 780-218-9999. Seaside Slug. Thank you for that long text and the thought. Mike says, Reno is giving a certified guarantee for an Oiler win tonight. I like that. Mike. Appreciate that. All right, let's go back into the Oilers locker room. This is actually from yesterday following what was described as the best practice of the year by Evander Kane. Let's hear from the man himself after practice yesterday.
Work the next day and fresh approach, get ready for the next one, how you kind of just balance what's been happening but yet look forward.
I mean, that's the goal. I thought everybody showed up today, obviously. We had a good meeting. I thought actually that was probably our best practice of the year. As a group, I think if you guys watched the first two drills, there wasn't a single pass missed. And I think that's a good sign of where our attitude's at and where our execution level is at. Now it's just about transferring over it into a game and being sharp.
What does the process look like when you're trying to get out of a funk like this, Evander?
Winning one game, and just focusing on that. We have another divisional opponent tomorrow night that we're looking up at, and we're only, when you think about how crazy it is, we're only 7 points out of a playoff spot. I think that's the way you have to look at it. So that's very manageable. It's very doable. But it has to start at some point, and we hope it's tomorrow against Seattle.
Can you talk about how difficult it is not to look at the big picture and hone in on winning your next shift, the next period, the next game?
Well, yeah, I mean, looking at the big picture at this point it's not helpful. It's irrelevant. We have to, a process like the one we want to go through and get to has to start at one point, and we need to get off to a good start tomorrow. We need to finish on our chances. We need to limit our big mistakes. If we do that, I like a lot of other parts of our game, and I like our chances.
Just saying a little bit ago about sharpness and why that's so important. What is that conversation about sharpness in the sense of all of you are aware of it, but how do you get from being aware of it to getting to that final destination of where you want to be?
Like I said, I thought it was noticeably one of our better practices today. Like I said, I think our first 2 drills wasn't a pass miss, so that type of sharpness, that type of execution, that type of focus, I think bodes well for our group, and hopefully we can carry it over into tomorrow night.
Question about one of your teammates, Calvin Pickard, of course, joins the team this week. What does he bring kind of off the ice? Because everyone talks about how savvy of a pro he is.
Yeah, he's been around a long time. He's an experienced guy at different levels, the NHL level being one of them. He's a great guy in the room, easy to talk to, very likable, and keeps things loose and keeps things positive, which is nice to have, very much like Soupy.
There's Evander Kane talking about Calvin Pickard, talking about yesterday's practice. They didn't miss a single pass in the first couple of drills. Pointing that out to everyone. That's good. They shouldn't. They're the best in the league. Or in the world, pardon me. Not the best in the league. They're the worst team in the league right now. Trust me. But they are in the best league in the world, and they shouldn't miss practice passes ever. It does happen. Okay, we're going to hear from the captain, Connor McDavid, as well. Then we're going to get to Matty Kassian. So here he is, McDavid, following practice yesterday.
It's like literally just worry about winning a game, not worry about too much more other than just that. Would you kind of agree with that sentiment and attitude?
For sure. Just finding a way to get a win. That's all you can do.
How hard is it as an athlete not to look at the big picture and focus on winning that next shift, next period, and next game ultimately?
All you got to take care of is what's in front of you, and obviously what's in front of us is, a big game in Seattle tomorrow night.
Asked Evander about this. You come to the rink the next day, and it's kind of like he said he felt it was maybe the best practice or one of the best practices, and you just sort of put on a happy face, get back to work, and hope that things start going your way. Is that how you approach after the disappointment of a loss? You start fresh the next day, every day?
Well, like I said, I mean, it's all you can do. Obviously, you show up to work and you get back to work and you do it with a positive attitude and get ready for another one.
I want to ask you about your teammate Calvin Pickard who joined you this week. Everyone always talks about how savvy of a pro he is. What's he like in the dressing room, Connor?
Yeah, he's been around a long time. He's a great guy, unbelievable in the room. But you don't go far in this league just for being a good guy. Obviously, his game, is there as well. So, he's a real calming voice in the room, and somebody that's great to have around.
Is your job as captain, is it any different when it's results, or you kind of approach win 5 in a row? If you're not successful as a team, you're sort of the same captain, or does your role change at all?
Well, you're obviously taking the temperature of the room every day. That's what every leader's job is to do, and obviously there's times when things need to be said. There's times when it's just got to get back to work.
All right, there's Captain Connor McDavid as his team gets set to take on the Seattle Kraken. Very businesslike, that McDavid, in that availability yesterday. Vance Van Vandervan chiming in, responding to Seaside Slugs' comment about maybe putting Bouchard up at forward and on the wing, and then on the power play he could quarterback from the point. Vance Van Vandervan says Bouchard can't back check when he's already back. How bad would it be if he's starting under the opposition goal line already? Well, that's a fair point. This one, Donnie M. Donnie says thank you about asking about Climate Pledge Arena. Donnie M was recently in Smashville and thought the rink was way better than ours. Awesome work on EST. Love it. We have sports radio back on both channels. Yes, indeed, Donnie M. I definitely think that Rogers Place is nicer than Bridgestone Arena. A lot nicer than Bridgestone Arena. Bridgestone Arena is fun, but I think the amenities at Rogers Place are way better. It's older, too. Bridgestone was built in, 96. They've kept it up to date. They've upgraded it and stuff. But Rogers Place, I think, is top 5 for show. For show. The NHL people, when they were here for the Heritage Classic, were unprompted saying how good the facility is here and how nice it is. So, Donnie M., totally subjective. And if you had a great time in Nashville, as one tends to do, all good. It's about great experiences. I believe our game analyst, Matt Kassian, is ready to rock. There he is. Hello, Cass. How are you, sir?
I am good. Say, fresh off a evening at Boston Pizza. Celebrating Mama Cass's birthday. So happy birthday, Mama. I don't know if you're listening, but if you are, because sometimes you do, or if my dad's got it turned on there, we love you and happy birthday.
Definitely happy birthday to Mama Cass, and hello, Chappie, if he's watching and or listening. Good dude. Cass, did you watch any of the East and West Final, or did you keep tabs on them? Because I know you had Mama Cass's birthday dinner, but Dusty called a pretty good game in Winnipeg, the Bombers' 4th straight Grey Cup appearance, and then Jason Moss and Danny Machocha's Alouettes off to the Grey Cup, knocking off
out of nowhere
Argos.
with that one.
Yeah.
They stomped on them.
7 turnovers, I think it was.
Yeah, pretty big upset. So great job by Montreal. Did not expect that. I mean, I thought we were going to get for sure. I thought it was going to be a TO Winnipeg final. So wasn't watching it like airtight, glued to it because we had other things going on. But certainly it was on in the background and kind of kept checking in. And I mean, hey, I wish that no one could win the Grey Cup. If Edmonton's not winning, I don't want anybody to win. So that's kind of how I feel.
I respect that very much.
But still fun games.
Yes, absolutely. Highly entertaining. Should be a great Cup next weekend in the Hammer. All right, let's get to Game Changers with Matt Kassian, brought to you, as always, by Damon Bunting, RE/MAX Elite. Damon is a consistent top-producing realtor in Greater Edmonton and among RE/MAX realtors. He and his team would love to help you find that right home or make the move from your current home. He's community-driven, understands what it takes to make a difference in our city. Check him out on DamonBunting.com or visit his Instagram at DamonBuntingRealEstate. Cass, as the Oilers seek just their 3rd victory of the season. Number 1 for you tonight, rock bottom.
I mean, you can't go any lower, sink any lower, can you, Tom?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. And if anyone watched the Vegas San Jose game, you're just watching that going like, oh my goodness, like these guys beat the Oilers. I don't think you can sink any lower as a team.
No, probably not.
Now they could prove us wrong. Of course they could prove us wrong.
Yeah.
But I mean, you've hit rock bottom, and now are you going to bounce or are you going to just smush like a pancake? Now that you've hit, you're going to do the Wile E. Coyote thing, like where like they're the Looney Tunes, whatever, like where you're just flattened right out and can't do anything, or are you going to bounce back? Because Tommy, I don't see how it can be any lower than it is. I don't see how they could fall any farther than they have. And really from a standing standpoint, you can't, you really can't. So, you know what type of game are we seeing out of them today? And I know there's positive things and we're out shooting teams and we're getting these opportunities and the Corsies and the Fenskys look good, but you're still losing hockey games. You've hit as bottom as you can get here. What type of game will we see? Will the Oilers succumb to gravity on the rocks, or will they rebound and find a way to shoot for the stars, Tommy?
Ooh, I like that. Shoot for the stars.
What kind of night is it going to be?
Well, YouTube Trev had positive vibes at the start of the show. He's smiling right now. He seems to be just fine. He's doing like these like karate chop moves, and he's getting like pumped up for the game. So I don't know. And people were happy with the positive vibes from YouTube, Trev. So maybe it's all good, Cass. I don't know.
Yeah, well, you can't just sit in doom and gloom. It's
True.
such a tricky balance to find where you have to be aware of the situation, but you can't mope. Like, you can't sit and sulk about it. You have to go and do something about it. And so for some guys, that's being a little bit loose and bouncing around, and some guys it's just sitting there focusing, being serious. Like, different players have to handle it different ways. But at the end of the day, and we'll talk about this with point number 3. Actually, I'm just going to jump ahead. We might as well do point number 3 now.
Okay.
We'll make point number 3 point number 2.
Sure.
Which we've talked about really multiple times, is at the end of the day right now, words are not enough. Words are not enough. What are you gonna show us? I mean, you can show us loosey goosey, you can show us angry, you can show us whatever. What type of player are you gonna be tonight? Are you gonna be, just the ones that talk and talk and talk, or are you gonna be guys that are gonna go and actually back up what you're saying? I mean, words are not enough at this point. Looking loose or looking upset or looking frustrated, however people have been handling it, just showing that is not enough. In interviews and in the room, it's like you got to show us on the ice here, guys. So what do I want to see tonight? I want to see them show us on the ice. Show it on the ice, Tom. We need to see it.
Yeah, we
need
really
to see yeah, they haven't, Tom. It took until 12 minutes left in that third period against San Jose to be like, oh, they are really going out to try to win this game in this shift.
Yeah.
Like, this shift could be the difference that wins this hockey game. It took almost 50 minutes for that to happen, regardless of how many shots you had in the first from the perimeter.
Yeah.
So, you know what? Let's see that jump before. But yeah, words don't matter anymore. Like, show me. Don't tell me. Just show me.
Cass, after the post game the other night following the loss to San Jose, all the empty words, hollow is a term I've used over the last day or so. The Oilers have played a very hollow game. Once they get, the shell is penetrated, they just wilt away and falter. The words have rung hollow, like you just brought up. And then I was just going through X, formerly known as Twitter, as I tend to do less and less now. But I was just kind of following up on some of the things that were being said about the team following our show, which was a wild show the other night. And someone quote tweeted, I saw my post tweet, whatever, of the Leon Draisaitl comment after the first loss of the year, where he said, sometimes it's good to get smacked around a little, which was, tongue in cheek. And at the point of the season, they were feeling like they'd be able to bounce back. And I was just like, boy, that has not aged well. And then it also made me recollect the next availability following the next loss, where I asked Evander Kane, and I didn't want to throw it at him as like a hard ball or anything. It was just like, hey, how are the guys holding up after the first couple of games? 0-2, hasn't gone your way, tough loss. He's like, oh, the sky is falling, the world is ending, blah, blah, gloom and doom. And that was tongue-in-cheek as well. And I was just like, boy, less than a month later, it is so bad. So bad. And I was just like, that's, is it ironic? Is it just sad? But words did not carry any weight. And like you said, number 2, which was number 3 on Game Changers, words are not enough. Like, those words are just like, they just blew back in their face and in a smelly way.
Yep.
Poop wins.
Mm-hmm.
Poop wins, I believe Mr. Leahy used to say, but he used the expletive. I'm not going to use it tonight. It is Game Changers with our game analyst, Matt Kassian, brought to you as always by Damon Bunting Remax Elite. Number 1 was Rock Bottom. Number 2 was Words Are Not Enough. And what was supposed to be number 2 and is now number 3, Cass Execution.
And I think, actually, I don't mind this being number 3 now, because it's kind of a summation.
Yeah.
Is what's the execution look like? And I think we'll have a pretty good idea early on, especially if there's a power play, as to how this team is playing. Now, Jay Woodcroft said it, and it often is true, and I agree with him. Oftentimes, the ability of the power play to be crisp kind of tells you where the team is at.
Mm-hmm.
It really does. Like if they go out on the first power play and they execute, and they're, even if they don't score, if they're generating a ton of looks, like good chances, good opportunities, if they're dangerous, if they're clean, usually you're like, okay, looks like they're in this one. Looks like they're playing. If they're just throwing pucks all over the place, just grenades everywhere would be the hockey term.
Right.
That's the on ice term. Is if you're giving a guy a grenade, means you're just you're pulling the pin and flipping it, hoping something works, kind of closing your eyes and then, turning away and, burying your head to get out of the way of the shrapnel. That's if that's what we see early on, it's probably going to be pretty indicative of the night we're going to see, which we have seen a lot of nights like that from the Edmonton Oilers. So, that execution is paramount. That execution has been something that they have struggled with time and time and time again. And it's in spurts, because there's been moments when they execute well, and then there's moments when all of a sudden it's just like everything goes out the window and they can't do anything. They can't execute defensively. They can't execute in the power play. They can't execute in the penalty kill. They can't. Goaltenders are having trouble to make a save. Like every area where it's like, you really need to bear down on this area of the ice, like really important. These are critical plays at critical moments in critical areas of the ice. They just wouldn't do what they needed to do. And, ultimately that's going to be it. They have lost, Tommy, probably 8 of the games from self-inflicted wounds.
Totally.
This
Absolutely.
Year. Where it's like, it wasn't like, no, the other team just played so well that they forced errors. Wasn't like, oh, the other team just grinded it out and has a lights out power play, and their power play beats you because their power play is just so good. Like that haven't been beaten like that. It hasn't happened. Got to execute. To execute. And again, we're beyond words. We're beyond that. It's just like, no, you have to go out and show me as a team. You want me to hope. You want me to believe, which I want to. I desperately want to. Just like so many people, I want to believe. I want to believe this team can crawl somehow back into the playoff race and crawl back into being a Stanley Cup contending team. But until they execute, until they actually go out and do it, I mean, how are we supposed to?
Well, Cass, as the team continues to remind everyone, as of right now, they are 7 points out of a playoff spot. 12 games into the season. I can't believe we're even saying this. It's actually 8 points, and they kept saying 7, but it's 8 points now. So here we are. Number 1, rock bottom. Number 2, execution. Number 3, words are not enough. That is Game Changers, brought to you by Damon Bunting Remax Elite with Maddie Kassian. Cass, there's a few things I want to discuss with you, and one of them is we have the lines confirmed via Daniel Nugent-Bowman at warm-up in Seattle at Climate Pledge Arena. It is McDavid with McLeod and Hyman, Draisaitl with Holloway and Fogle, Nugent-Hopkins between Kane and Gagne, and then Hamblin between Lavoie and Ryan. Nurse paired up with Ceci, Ekholm with Bouchard, Kulak with Desharnais. Stuart Skinner does indeed get the start. Someone mentioned earlier in the show that it would be a good idea to bump Raphael Lavoie up there. I was like, I'm okay to that happening. I don't see why not. Why do you see a reluctance there from Jay Woodcroft at this point in time?
For Lavoie, I think you're still looking at foot speed issues.
Okay.
Where he's been serviceable and he's been okay. But it's not like he's blown us away. And I think you look at it and you say, okay, if there's foot speed issues, you have to be lights out positionally. Mm-hmm. You have to be. Like, you have to be able to read and anticipate and negate your speed issues with your positioning. And have they seen enough of Lavoie to be able to trust him to try to bump up? Probably not. No. I mean, Tommy, I just don't think he's ready yet for that. I don't think he's ready yet for that. Now, is he ready to get an opportunity as he has been as a third line, fourth line guy, mm-hmm. playing some minutes and some opportunity? Sure. He's earned that at this point, but has he earned more than that? I don't think so.
Yeah. Lavoie, if you're wondering, through 3 NHL games, -1, 2 shots, averaging .858 time on ice with 5 hits and 1 block shot. The only guy, Cass, on this roster right now that is a plus player is Sam Gagne, and he's played 4 games. That's pretty indicative of where we're at right now.
Yep.
Coach Mike Texan says, I'm done with the losing. Oilers figure it out and roll tonight, 6-1 Oilers. 97 gets off the schneid with a pair of goals. Let's go. That's from Coach Mike. And then this text says, the Oilers have the most blue-collar support in the league, so they built a white-collar rink. They are always out of touch. My wife gets vertigo in the second level, and we chose not to allocate that much funds to a hockey game. I think, I wouldn't call it a white-collar arena. The prices are ridiculous, that's for sure. But you're not going to go and build an arena that's just okay right after it's complete. We were talking about arenas, Cass, because we were talking about Climate Pledge Arena. Detroit's a blue-collar city, and that arena was $250 million over budget. The vertigo thing, sucks. That sucks.
That sucks.
I don't.
No, the vertigo thing.
Yeah.
The vertigo thing sucks, and I understand prices can be hard.
The prices are ridiculous. I'm not going to.
Yeah, you wish it was more affordable and more more accessible for people that way. But in terms of the facility itself, you're going to build a nice facility.
It's gorgeous. It's
and
functional.
I don't know. Tommy, I'm trying to think of what does a blue collar facility look like? Like, is it like?
You're not building one in the NHL, NBA,
no,
MLB, NFL. Like,
Major League Sports, you're not going.
Yeah,
not new buildings.
A blue collar facility would be down the road in Calgary in a arena that looks like it's stuck in 1984.
Yeah,
saddle dump. It's literally falling apart. Literally, chunks of the concrete facade on the outside were falling off of it last spring. Anyway, I know not everyone's going to love a new facility. Not everyone likes the new arena. People don't like how the money thing. If you don't like the way the money thing worked out, private, public, wait until you find out the breakdown Calgary's going to get. Anyway, we're not getting into that. Okay, Cass, I'll throw the question of the night at you to wrap things up. Then maybe I'll get to a couple texts if we have time. But the question of the night was this, my friend. What kind of game or performance do you expect from the Oilers tonight? And is it already too little too late? Cass froze? Oh, he froze.
Cass definitely froze.
Darn.
But he will be right back. Just when you asked the question, yeah.
All right. Well, Vandervan texted and said, when I'm practicing pickup lines on the mannequin head I stole from the Gap, I never fail. But come game time at the bar, I bet .00003. Hopefully the Oilers don't have my same game day jitters or are also willing to take the ugly win. Vandervan, always good for a guffaw here or there. This one from Cass says, Cass is getting into it on the nasty chat. Oh, you're back.
And Cass is back.
All right, Cass. What do you expect for the Oilers tonight, or is it moot point and it's too little, too late?
I don't know what to expect. I don't know what to expect. What I should expect, what we all should expect, is we should expect them to come out and play with some fire, a lot of fire. We should expect that they come out and from the drop of the puck till the end of the game, they're playing like their playoff lives depend on it. They're playing like it's a game 7 in the playoffs. They're playing like every single play matters. Every single opportunity to get a puck to the net could be the difference in the game. Every single shot against could be the difference in the game. Every single rush against, no matter how not dangerous it seems, could be the difference against. Like you have to play like every play matters. That's what we should expect to see tonight. Are we going to see it? I don't know, because this team has shocked us multiple times.
Yeah. The vibe and mood to end things here tonight around a team that maybe is anticipating some change forthcoming. We've seen and heard rumblings. We know that Jay Woodcroft is essentially on the ropes right now. That's a term I continue to use. He's getting jabs in at media members in his last couple of availabilities. Maybe that's a sign of where this is going. Our friends of EST at Oilers Live and Heavy Hockey have been suggesting that house cleaning might be occurring. I know, just talking to people in hockey ops, that they haven't heard that specifically. They might also be playing coy, and they have said that the focus has been on trying to come up with ideas for roster upgrades in the meantime. But I guess we'll see. But what do you think the vibe and mood is like, and do you think it's awkward right now? Cass,
You muted yourself, Cass.
You yeah.
You're the worst team in the league. So how can you not, have a mood in the room that's jovial and happy? I mean, the tension has to be there. The tension has to be. I mean, it has to be tense. Everyone has to realize what's at stake, whether it's for Woodcroft, whether it's for one of your teammates being shipped out. I mean, you know that you are on thin ice, as it were. Very, very thin ice as an organization and as individual players. Like people you care about could be losing their jobs or being moved somewhere else where you're not going to get to spend any more time with them and have fun and win a Stanley Cup together. I mean, it's just, that's it. So is there tension? There has to be tension.
Yeah,
there has to be. If there's not, Tom, something even, I don't even know. I don't even, if there's not, I don't know what's going on. Yeah. I don't know what's I don't know what's going on anyways, but
they're trying to keep it tight to their chest, but clearly things are not great right now, and we'll see what happens when they get home. But tonight, Jay Woodcroft is the coach. Kenny Holland is the GM. Does that change by tomorrow? Perhaps. And then we'll see by Monday's game against the Islanders. One last text to wrap things up via the nasty chat from Donovan. Says, it's not too little too late. I'm a Flyers fan. Voracek led the Flyers in a drunk session after a 10-game losing streak, and they made the playoffs. Flyers in 2017 went nearly 70% win percentage the rest of the season. Donovan with that little anecdote to wrap things up. We appreciate it, Donovan. Cass, fantastic work as always, my friend. Happy birthday to Mama Cass. Hello to Chappie, and we'll catch up with you on the postgame show. Yep, Cass.
Thanks so much, buddy. We will chat then.
There we go. All right, Matty Kassian, our game analyst with Game Changers. That pregame show when we come back at you following the Oilers and Kraken. Maybe we're talking about a win. Maybe. We shall see. That's why they play the game. Thank you to everyone who listened via our audio stream or on the TuneIn app and the Sonos app, apparently, as well, which is fantastic. We appreciate you. Thanks to everyone who texted in and to all of you watching and keeping tabs on us via the nasty chat over on YouTube on the EST channel. Like, share, subscribe, smash that thumbs up button. We really, really appreciate it. Let's keep this momentum going, and please do join us for the Oil Stream post-game show following the Oilers and the Kraken. For Matty Kassian and YouTube Trev, I'm Tom Gazzola saying ciao for now.